Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of Khadim India Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone telephone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nachiket Kale from Dickinson World. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Nachiket.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for connecting to the results call of Khadim India. I welcome you all to this call, and we have already uploaded a results press release, results presentation on the exchanges. Hope you had a chance to go through it, and look forward to a great discussion with the management ahead. I would now like to hand over the call to the promoter of the company, Mr. Siddharth Roy Burman, who is also the Chairman and Managing Director. Over to you, Mr. Burman.
Okay, namaskar everybody. Good evening, everyone. We welcome you to this conference call to discuss the second quarter result of the financial year 21-22. Hope everyone continues to be safe and had a great festive period. This quarter has been a story of resilience. We are proud to have bounced back to profitability after a second wave. Our strategic efforts on improving product portfolio, focus on profitability, managing supply chain, controlling cost and efficiency, improving our working capital position helped achieve a turnaround. In the post-COVID era, our affordable fashion positioning has resonated well with our existing and new customer base. We achieved healthy revenue growth across both business, retail and distribution. We have now recorded significant improvement in margin for last 4 consecutive quarters. We continue to strengthen our retail presence in Tier 2 and 3 cities by opening 25 new franchisee stores during the second quarter despite partial lockdown, taking the overall tally of 555 franchisee stores. The retail network now stands 762 stores and distribution footprint has increased 606. Coming to our performance for the quarter, comparing year-on-year to Q1 FY22, revenue grew by 33% to 161.6 crores. Second point, the company has achieved the highest ever gross margin in retail at 52%, generated positive EBITDA of 13.7 crore with 8.5% EBITDA margin and reached pre-COVID level as the pre-COVID level versus an EBITDA loss in Q1 FY22. PAT stands at rupees 6.5 crores with a PAT margin of 4% compared to a loss of 22.4 crores Q2 FY21. Working capital efficiency has improved, cash flow position has strengthened the balance sheet. The majority of population get vaccinated gradually, unlocking increase the COVID-related restriction cases. The economy is on track to reach normalcy. After being confined indoor in the lockdowns, we now see a tremendous desire in the people to venture out again, and this is a driving high demand, especially for footwear. We are already witnessing improving traction at our store and are very optimistic of scaling operation further. We thank you all of you continued support and look forward to continue interaction with you. We can now proceed with the question and answer. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Monica Arora from Sharegiant Wealth Advisors. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. On the back of, like, we see the revival of economy and improved consumer sentiment. So we see that lot of brands are offering various deals and discounts to attract more footfalls in their stores. So have you also offered some kind of deals to your franchisee?
Thanks for your question, Monica. So I think, we are, throughout the year, we have, run a very silent discount in our stores just to ensure that we are liquidating most, our stock, the old stock, which had been, which we manufactured last year and last year. But there's not been active promotion of the discounts, generally, which we do during our EOSS. We will have a regular EOSS twice a year, which will be in December and March, and which will promote very aggressively, and there we'll be having a much more aggressive discounting. But during the festive season, we did have a very good scheme, which is called Milega Much More, wherein on a minimum buy of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, we offered a credit note which we could redeem immediately, and for which we saw a very good response of 75 to 80% redemption. So I think, yes, recovery has been good and people are responding to good schemes.
Okay, that's good. And also, if you can update on, like, deals to franchises to set up new stores and expand further.
So you're asking in terms of the expansion this year?
Yes.
So we've opened 25 new stores in the last quarter, in Q2, and we're looking at opening in a total of around 80 stores this year.
Okay. That's great. And we see that a lot of corporates are open now. So do you also see some institutional sales in Q2? And also, what is the status of, like, cash flows from the big orders and all filled during the Q4?
This quarter there is no institutional sales.
Okay.
And in terms of big order that was there, fourth quarter, 70% of the payment has been received. 30% balance payment we will get in this third quarter.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. A reminder to all participants, you may enter *1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Deepan Shankar from Trustline PMS. Please go ahead. Deepan Shankar, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead with your question. May we request you to unmute yourself if muted from the handset? As there is no response, we move to the next question, which is from the line of Varun from VJB Securities. Please go ahead.
Looking at good afternoon, congratulations for the turnaround. The COCO store seems to produce much more revenue given it is having only 30% retail stores, whereas the franchisee stores are producing much lower revenue. Why is that?
So COCO stores, the sales are recorded at MRP, and the franchisee stores, the sales are recorded at net sales value, which is post the margin that we give, like a retail margin that we give to the franchisee for them to do business. That is why the sales seems lower. That's number one. And number two, the COCO stores are generally much bigger and they're larger, and they're generally in metros and tier 1. Vis-a-vis the franchisees are more in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and the average sales are generally lower than the COCO stores.
So from an accounting perspective, the discounts in COCO stores are recorded as expenditures. It's not, the revenue is not basically recorded as the sale price, but the MRP price.
No, means if the product is sold at MRP, it is recorded at MRP price.
if it's sold at a discount in cocoa, it is recorded at a discounted price. But what Namrata was saying, that in a cocoa, the sales recording is in MRP, whereas in case of EBO, we give a trade discount of around 30 to 35%. So the company records the primary sales of 65%. So that's why the difference, what you see, that cocoa numbers are higher compared to the franchise.
Okay. In terms of how many stores have a break-even already out of the 800 stores? How many stores are cross-subsidized? Can you give some data on it? Because in the expansion force, we will say once the expansion completes over the next 2 years, the break-even percentages may go up, and that is the interest in it to know.
See, in case of cocoa, we have already last year shut down 13 cocos which were at a negative thing. So if we consider 220, out of that 10 stores are not in break-even terms. Otherwise, all the cocoa stores are break-even.
Thank you. Thanks for it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may enter star one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Deepan Shankar from Trustline PMS. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks a lot for the opportunity, and congratulations for good set of numbers. So firstly, wanted to understand, so last year H2, we have done a sales of 340 crores plus, only in terms of retail and distribution. So are we looking to grow considerably over last year H2 base as well for this year H2?
Yes, firstly, thank you for Mr. Shankar for your question and your good words. Appreciate it. Yes, I think we will be looking at growing in H2. The recovery has been extremely healthy and very comforting. On the retail side, for sure. The distribution side also, the recovery has been good. So yes, we're looking at growing on both the fronts in the businesses.
Now, one thing is that in last year H2 there was a institutional sales of around 90 crores. So
yeah, I'm not counting on that.
Okay.
So including that, it was 440 crores. So I'm counting only the 340 crores for retail plus distribution.
Okay, that is good.
Okay. And are we confident enough to get back to our pre-COVID quarterly run rate of 200 crores for next year onwards?
Yeah, that's the hope for sure. Yeah, we are all hoping that we don't see a fourth and fifth wave and any further lockdowns and any further health issues in the country. And if that is not there, I mean, we definitely are looking forward to a pre-COVID number.
Okay. And also in terms of fashion wear, so are we seeing substantial improvement over there? So that will give us improvement in average selling price as well, right?
Sorry, I didn't get a question. Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah. During COVID time, our fashion wear contribution has gone down tremendously in retail. So are we seeing that coming back strongly in coming quarters as well?
Yes, sure. We've already seen it improving and coming back to normal, in Q2. In fact, in the end of Q2, especially during the festive season, we have seen the normalized buying in terms of categories, all the categories. So we are, and we are also seeing the trend currently. So we are hoping and that the fashion buying continues.
Okay. And at the gross margin levels, we have seen the substantial improvement. So are we expecting that to sustain over coming quarters? Are we seeing that raw material pricing trend is able to pass on?
See, on the retail side, we are hoping to be able to pass on the raw material price and still make an incremental margin, because the pricing relatively is on the higher side compared to distribution. So there we should be able to absorb and pass on and also grow. But on the distribution side, it's a bit choppy, and the raw material pricing is very sensitive to the pricing of the product. because you're dealing over there with Hawaii chappals, PVC chappals, PU chappals, low price sports shoes, where the price is a very, very sensitive aspect of the product. So their raw material pricing, we are hoping that stabilizes, the choppiness stabilizes, and there can be some sanity and stability to the pricing as well. So till the raw material price stabilizes, I think there will be some choppiness in the gross margin, but we're hoping to pass on as much as possible. But we also have to be careful and sensitive to the MRP, because here you're dealing with the mass audience. So there will be that much price increases that one should take to be able to pass on to the customer. But we are trying our best to balance it out.
Okay. And lastly, from my side, this fixed cost, employee cost plus other expenses. So the quarterly run rate has fallen from 66 crore to 46 crores. So are we seeing that run rate to continue, or we, as things start improving, we are expecting some amount of fixed expenses to shoot up in next coming quarters?
In case of employee expenses, for the last 18 months, there was a cut in the employee around 20%. So that we in October we have already given the money back to the employee. So the run rate what you have seen in the last quarter, it will increase. In other expenses, there are a lot of fixed expenses cut, but there are some maintenance and other expenses we need to incur. So there also you will see a rise, but not at the level of the pre-COVID levels.
Okay. And what about advertisement expenses? So already it has reached pre-COVID levels, or what is the run rate currently?
Advertisement expense is very less. Means pre-COVID means in 2019 it was around 4%. So now it is around 1%. But obviously in next FY23 it will increase from 2 to 2.5%.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot and all this.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Pai from Nirmal Bang Equities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to, I think you said that 2H of FY22 is going to be better than 2H of FY21 if you exclude the institutional sales number. Will the profitability be better in terms of EBITDA margins? Would that be better than 2H of FY21 if you exclude the institutional number?
Compared to which period you're saying? FY20 or FY21? I didn't get your point.
FY21. Last year, FY21, 2H FY21, will it be better than that in 2H FY22?
We believe so that the revenue will be better and so will be the margins. Excluding the institutional sales, definitely.
Okay. And these EBITDA margins are pre-Ind AS 116 or post-Ind AS 116?
It's post-Ind AS 116.
Okay. And how much is the price increases you've taken because your gross margins have been very strong? On your portfolio, how much has been the price increase you've taken, say, cumulatively in the last, say, 9 months, 12 months?
So again, we've got two businesses. One is on the retail side, one is on the distribution side. Retail side, we have increased our ASP quite significantly since FY21 for sure. And since FY20, we've increased our ASP by 9%, and FY21, we've increased our ASP by 25%. The 25% is an aberration purely because last financial year the consumer behavior was a bit different and more steered towards low price products and basic products. So comparing it to FY20 would be the ideal number. So 9% growth is what we are seeing in ASP, out of which I believe around 67 would be price increase and balance would be premiumization. That's on the retail side. On the distribution side, we've taken in this financial year approximately 15% increase in prices, owing to the raw material price increasing.
Okay. And you mentioned in one of the earlier questions that you would want to go back to a 200 crore kind of a run rate in terms of revenue on a quarterly basis. What incremental steps are required from your side to achieve that number? Is there anything required, or just demand coming back naturally because of post-COVID footfalls increasing? Will that lead to the 200 crore number, or do you think there are any incremental steps required from your side?
So again, I answer this question in two parts. One is retail, one is distribution. On the retail side, we will have to ensure that our base of stores, existing base of stores, grow at a healthy pace of SSG, which is around 5 to 6%. And we tend to grow the retail business overall around 10 to 12%. So the balance coming mainly through new store expansion. And on the distribution side, it's going to be purely through, increasing the market share and the wallet share with the existing base of distributors, and also building a base of new distributors.
Lastly, you mentioned that the end of season sale would be in December and also in March. It's like, would you feel pressure from that, or you think that can be offset?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
I thought I heard you holding two end of sales EOSS. One was end of December or end of March. You think you can offset the discounting pressure that's going to come through because of that?
The discounting pressure owing to what? Sorry, your actually voice is a bit blur. Can you put your handset a bit closer to your mouth, if it's possible, please?
Yeah, I was asking on the end of season sale related discounting, how much of that is going to have an impact on margins?
No, I think that's all planned and adjusted for. So I think there is an end of season sale every financial year and during every period. So I think that there will be an incremental growth because your overall gross margin is increasing. Your discounting will be adjusted from the increased margin. So your net margin will always be higher than the previous year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to all participants, you may enter *1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Bharat from VJB Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Congratulations on a good set of numbers. I have three questions. The first would be, what would be the total number of pairs sold in retail, Visa, and distribution? I think last time I got the number, but just to reconfirm the number on a yearly basis in a normal year. And the second question would be, I think we've got an order from the UP government. When is the execution of that order likely? Or has it already been executed, or what portion has been executed? And is there any other institutional orders from government or from anybody else that is likely? And three, the revenue per store as compared to our competitors is slightly lesser, like say Bata is say 3 crore per store, and we are at, I'm assuming at 1 crore per store. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it possible that we will be bridging the gap, or what is the way forward on that one?
I'm taking your second question regarding that institutional sales. So that institutional sales has been executed in March itself in the fourth quarter, and 70% payment has also come. In regard to, there is no institutional orders now pending in our side. Okay. And in terms of pairs sold in quarter H, this is distribution is around 67 lakhs, and in retail it's 22 lakhs.
Okay.
Revenue per store means if you compare our Coco store, it's around 1.25 per store. Yes, it is compared to Bata, it is less because the ASP of Bata is higher compared to us. And also the product mix, means we sell 75% of our products are below 1,000, But in compared to Bata, their 50% of the product are sold over 1,000 rupees.
But I'd like to add over here, if you come, this is the revenue per store you're comparing. But if you compare revenue per square feet and gross margin per square feet, we are as good as them, and in some cases even better.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. So is it possible, like you've already answered the question in part, and when the earlier gentleman asked the question with regard to you adjusting gross margins and then discounting and giving, as net margin would still be efficient because you increase the price and give a discount or whatever that is to maintain the net margin. What is the elasticity of demand even if you increase price by say 3 to 5% on retail? Because say if I'm buying a shoe from, if I'm buying Pro or Lazard, or what is the propensity for you to increase prices in these segments where you can increase prices by 5% without affecting demand? Because like you said, Bata's average ASP is much higher. Say if I'm buying a power shoe versus Pro, if I buy a like to like, a Pro shoe is 700 vis-a-vis a Bata at 1,600. So is it possible for us to go from 700 to 800 without impacting demand? And what is the cushion that we have?
So I think I am, just to answer, to give you a history, last 2 years that we have taken regular price increases of all our existing range and our new ranges as well, and I have not seen an impact on demand owing to the price increases. Our base is generally so low, and secondly, the kind of product range and the price points that we are selling at, we don't see too many brands being able to sell the kind of variety at that price point. So we are very confident of our product offering, and I don't think 3 to 5% increase in prices are going to impact the volume per significantly.
Okay, so we can increase. We have headroom there to increase prices and hold up margins if need be.
Yes, definitely. There's no two thoughts about that.
Okay. And with regard to last time in the con call, you had spoken about omnification of the channels where if I don't find a shoe in a store, I can get it through another store. So I buy from Kadams personally. So if I buy, say for example, I want an Oxford shoe and it's not available, the store manager doesn't, even though it's a COCO, the store manager doesn't know if the stock is available in the next store. So there's no integrated stock management even within the city. So how would you do an omnification? Like how does it work?
The store manager does not need to know if it is available in the next store or in the third store. He will just place the order and it will reach you from the nearest possible store where it is available.
Because it is integrated, because in the retail end we don't have that kind of bandwidth that will show that store manager can see everywhere. It is through the integrated ANS commerce thing that we integrate backend so that if any order comes in the retail outlet, that will be picked up from the next store or from other states also.
No, that I agree. So I have to place an order. So see, say suppose I'm in say Chennai and I'm buying from say Thiruvamur and I'm going to Adayar and your store is on the way. So if I'm going to a store and if I want that particular product, say I'm buying for myself and my family, and I really want it because there is not that particular color available there or whatever. Though it's in the catalog, it's and I know it's there, and I want it because the choice in the store may be slightly limited for various reasons. But why shouldn't it be if it's more democratized where we know after all you're selling your own product? Why wouldn't it be right if you have a ERP which tells you what store has what stock so that it can be given to the customer if it's needed? Because most customers don't find the product in the store and go away. So, like for example, I went to buy a Bonito for my child and it was not available. They said it may be available in T Nagar, which is like 5 kilometers away. Maybe it's like impossible to track. If it's there, I go and buy. So, how do we? Is there a methodology where we can do this? Because in most apparel retail and other places, the store, at least the store warehouse head knows where the stock is. So, like I go to Louis Philippe, I know if it's not in this store, it's in the next store. So just asking, more out of curiosity.
And Bharat, I think it's showing that you're a very loyal customer of ours, and I can sense the pain that you've gone through, and thank you for sharing this to us. This is something which has been on our mind to be able to implement in our stores as well, and maybe in the due course we will do that to ensure that the customers have a better and seamless experience. Right now we don't have it for sure, but we'll definitely try developing it, and we will try doing it as soon as possible. I think it's a valid view that you have given, and we'll definitely try working on it.
Yeah, because 3 times I've gone without buying. But since I'm a shareholder and I buy only from Khadim, I go back and, like, for example, I don't find an Oxford. I've tried my best, and I thought of buying it online. Then I thought, okay, for whatever reason, I thought I'll buy it from a store. I just don't find an Oxford on the store. So I said, okay, let me try till I get it. It's okay if I have to do 5 rounds. So, but I've not got it, and nobody has told me that I can place an order and I'll get it.
I think
no store manager has told me that I can place an order and get it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying because you said that I can request for the product and get it.
Which store did you go to?
I've gone to 5 stores in the city. So
were they all COCO stores?
Yeah, they are all COCO. I don't go to a franchisee. I'm a Khadim shareholder. I go to COCO.
Okay. So you did not. Okay. So I'll possibly take it up definitely, and we'll see what's the best we can do over there. But I'll also on the sideline request you to. I'll ask my team member to connect with you with the design that you like, and we'll ensure we get delivered to you.
Yeah, please do so. Okay. Actually, the whole family needs one. So yeah. Like my wife needs Pro, my child needs Bonito. So yeah.
No, we'll definitely ensure we're making our sale to you. We won't lose you as a customer for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may enter star 1 to ask a question. The next question from the line of Ankit Shah, an individual investor. Please go ahead. Ankit Shah, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead with your question.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So one question was on the basically this when I look at the balance sheet, there are some in other advances there is a 115 crore odd amount. So is this relating to GST credit, because it shows as advance to government authorities?
Yes, it is a GST credit that has accumulated over the years.
Okay, and that this is because of the difference between what you charge the customer and what you pay to the suppliers on your raw material.
Here there is a 2 concept. One is that our output tax is lower than the input raw material. So the input is 18%, whereas the output tax less than MRP 1000 is 5%. There is a accumulation, but that accumulation the government gives refund. But the service tax accumulation for the GST of 18%, that the Supreme Court has given a clear verdict that there will be no refund for that. So that accumulation can be set up with the next output tax. But since our output tax is less than the input tax, so that accumulation carries on and on. So I think in this GST committee meeting, this inverted credit structure would be revamped. Only then that credit that has accumulated will be utilized.
Okay. And what's the proportion of that refundable versus the one which you're saying the Supreme Court has sort of said no?
Mainly the around whatever the raw material thing is around 7 to 8 crores. Balance is the service tax input that is carried over for the years.
Got it. So unless this inverted duty structure, the government does something about that, this will continue to be a challenge and it will keep accumulating.
Then accumulation will be there.
Understood. Okay. The other one was to understand that, because you mentioned that we sold around 22 lakh pairs in the last 6 months. So typically, what would be the average customers who would have bought? Meaning, what would be the average bill size? So for 22 lakh orders, what would be the unique number of customers?
22 lakhs is for this quarter, and half year it is 31 lakhs. Okay.
Okay.
So,
The average bill size would be in the range of around 850 rupees.
Okay. No, but I'm saying that there will be repeats also, right? So I'm trying to understand that.
750 rupees.
750 for the retail business. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may enter star one to ask a question. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to the management of Khadim India for closing comments.
Thank you for all your questions and your interest in Khadim's. We're all working very hard to ensure that we're able to do good business, and we look forward to keeping in touch with all of you and answer your questions on a regular basis. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Khadim India Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.